Hello, it's Tammy Pally, aka the Crafty Princess and Dog Collector, and today I am doing a video on the comparison of a Pullip doll and that of a stock Blythe doll. And let me say these are both, I'm going to really look at the stock versions. I know with both these types of dolls there are a lot of customized dolls out there. With the Blythe dolls, there's a lot of fakey, or they call them factory dolls sometimes too, that are not really made by the, supposedly made by the manufacturer, okay? As far as the Pullips go, they don't necessarily have a bunch of fake ones, but the company has what they call make-it-own kits, and you can actually buy a kit and make your own doll. So I'm talking really about the dolls that you would buy that are considered stock dolls, okay? This is a Pullip doll, and this is a Blythe doll. And I've had people ask me a lot about what's the difference, you know, especially non-doll people, but also when I first got back into the hobby, I was gravitating to these two dolls, and I was kind of like, well, really, I wasn't even sure what the difference was, so I had to do a lot of research, and of course, the best way to see the difference is having them. So let's first start with the tangible differences of these two dolls. And I have taken some of the stock of this doll off of her. She has a really cute little like a sailor coat that goes over this, but I wanted you to see her arms because this is a distinct difference between a stock Pullip and a stock Blythe. The stock Pullip dolls have these jointed arms. They're not ball jointed. They're not considered BJDs, but they do have joints where their hands move, their elbows, and you can actually see, you know, obviously see the joints in these dolls, okay? Their legs, same kind of thing. Let me put her little dress up here so you can see. Same thing with her legs. They have quite a bit of movement to them. Oops. Okay. They're also taller. They're about 12 inches tall versus 11 inches tall, okay? So that's the Blythe dolls are just a little bit smaller, and as a comparison, for if you have a Barbie, a Pullip doll is about the height of a Barbie, whereas a Blythe doll is about the height of an old Skipper. And I think Skipper's made a comeback, if I remember correctly. She was gone for a while, but I think the new Skipper's out again. So anyway, that's kind of the difference. And in fact, the Blythe doll's body is supposed to be really the size of a old Skipper, whereas the Pullip, her body is not anything like the size of a normal, an average size Barbie. And I'm not referring to any of the new ones that have they have the curvy and the short and the petite and the tall and all that stuff now. But just a traditional Barbie, they are obviously, you can see she's not really chesty, okay, like Barbie is. Another difference is, of course, the size of the head. Both of them have overly large heads. Let me bring this dolly up. And by the way, this is the Pullip. This doll's Merle. And this doll is a Blythe doll, stock doll named Monique Magnifique. I've renamed her to Ella. This girl, I haven't come up with a name for her yet. I'm not real thrilled with Merle, but got any suggestions, let me know. And I picked these two dolls, even though I don't have a huge collection, but I picked these two dolls because of the similarity kind of in their hair color and their face-ups and that kind of thing. Right now, at this stage, I have 7 Blythe dolls. I have 7 Blythe dolls, 3 of which are stock, 4 of which are considered fakies, and I just have 3 Pullip dolls. All of them regular ones. And I just bought a make-it-own kit that I hope to just slowly create my own doll with. That's actually funny because originally that's what I was going to do. I wasn't going to get a stock doll. I was going to make my own because I'm an arts and crafts person, so that really appealed to me. But then as I started getting into it, I felt it was kind of overwhelming. I did a few Barbie experiments, which you will see on my channel, and they did not turn out so well, so it kind of freaked me out. Not freaked me out, but made me rethink my approach to the dolls, right? All right, so back to the stock dolls here as far as the Pullips go. As far as other tangible differences, the eyes, you know, like I said, the head is big, but not as big as a Blythe doll, right? The eyes have eye chips in them, and there are mechanisms in the back so that you can close their eyes and open them back up, and also move them side to side. They're a little tricky. I would say they're not super easy to deal with, and especially, luckily, Merle has hair that I don't have to worry too much about. But on some of these dolls, some of these Pullip dolls, they have very intricate hairdos. Like I have the doll Fräulein, and she has an intense hairdo that you just don't want to touch and mess up. So in the back is like a lever that if I move, you can see, okay, so she's going side to side, side to side. Now put it back center. And then there's two levers on either side of that. They're really like buttons, I guess, that you push, and it closes an eyelid. And some of them will have painted eyelids. So far the three I have do not. She has some coloration on her eyelid a little bit, but not as much as I would like. I would definitely, when I make my Pullip doll in the next century, I will definitely have some kind of, at the very least, some coloring. Come on, see the close up? See, this won't even stay closed. There we go. I will definitely have some coloring on their eyelids because I think that's really, you know, pretty. I like it. I like kind of a strong face up. And I get it with this doll. She's obviously this innocent little girl. She's not going to be wearing heavy makeup, okay? So those are the tangible differences with that. As far as the tangible differences, as far as eyeballs go with the Pullips or the Blythes, I'm gonna get those probably mixed up. They also have really big eyes and eye chips, and but they have a mechanism in the back. They have a pull string that changes the color and also the orientation. So like right now she's got side-facing blue eyes. Now she's got front-facing blue eyes, side-facing green eyes, and front-facing pink eyes. So yeah, so these don't go back and forth like the Pullips, and they only close, the stock dolls, as is most of them, only close while you pull on the string. They won't stay closed unless you have a one that has two strings. And so far I don't know, in fact, if anybody knows, I wonder how many stock Blythe dolls have this, but I do know the Sprite Beauty doll, which I do have, comes with two pull strings. So you have what they call sleepy eyes, and you can pull one string and it actually closes the eyes completely shut, like they're sleeping, okay, as far as just changing the color of the eyes. Let's see, as far as the back of the head, that's all you have is this pull string. You don't have any buttons or anything like that. The body, like I said, is a little bit smaller, and it does not bend. She does have movement. She can move her arms up and down. She can swivel. She can sit, and she can swivel a little bit. The top, move her arm here. She could, yeah. Sorry, girl, I show your undies. There's a line right here, so she does have a little bit of movement. Some of them, yes, I'm gonna say more than us, but so she can move her top of her body side, swivels a little bit, and then their legs bend like Barbie legs. So there's 3 bends in them. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So they do have some movement, but not as much movement as a Pullip doll, which some people aren't keen on, and a lot of people will switch their bodies out for a more movable, jointed body, like a Nemo or a Fortune Day body. I have a video also where I show a stock doll that I purchased. I do an unboxing of her, and she has what's called a Fortune Day body, Fortune, and it's a movable body. But one of the, I guess, the differences as far as collectors go, why, for example, why would you want to collect one versus the other? Obviously, I'm really collecting them both, but I have really almost twice as many, I have more than twice as many Blythe as I do Pullips. And honestly, the Blythe dolls tend to be a tad more as far as cost goes, interestingly enough. It really depends. It really, depends on the dolls. Some of them can be, if they haven't been out very long, they're sometimes aren't as much. I have noticed with the Pullips, the new releases for 2016, they seem to be priced higher. I'm seeing some up to $130, $150, which I think are more than the previous dolls, like the, previous releases. Whereas, and they're kind of doing the same thing with the Blythe, which are kind of a turnoff, guys. I mean, I waited a long time to purchase this doll, as I do with all dolls, and I did a video about, the money aspect of saving money, waiting, and all that kind of stuff, budgeting for the dolls, and, what is your priority as far as, purchases go. But, why would you, pick these dolls over these dolls when you're deciding on a direction to go as far as collecting? And I would like to know what your personal thoughts are about that, so feel free to put them in the comments. Why I have been going more in the Blythe direction versus the Pullip is because really it comes down to a couple things. The Pullips are beautiful dolls, and it's funny because anytime I show a non-doll collector my collection, they love the Pullip dolls, and they're just like, why don't you have more? These are just gorgeous. And they are. They're beautiful. Their stock is really mostly pretty much high quality stock. There's a few things that you're like, yeah, but generally speaking, there's a lot of detail. She's just in her little shift, but she came with these boots, stockings, bloomers, this dress, an overdress, 2 hair bows, of course the trading card, and of course the doll stand. So sometimes they come with more stuff, and you can see like there's a lot of detail on this little pinafore here. That's a lot of stitching, and this is underneath the overcoat that she comes with. So their stock tends to be more elaborate. Let's put it that way. I think that's a better, depending of course on the doll. They tend to have more elaborate stock. And it's stock that you would want to keep them in, as opposed to the Blythe dolls, which sometimes have very simple stock, very, very little stock, very, very, like a simple, not super fancy stock. It really just depends, but a lot of times they just have, it's cute and everything, but it's not so much that you would want to keep them in it all the time. I would say one exception of that is, in my collection, is really Sprite Beauty. She has much more involved stock. She comes actually as a sprite, so she has wings and this pretty little head bow or a headband, and her stock is probably some of the more elaborate Blythe stock I have seen. And I kept her in her stock for quite a while before I changed it, because it is really pretty. Of course, who doesn't want to have a little fairy, right, in your collection? So yeah, so if you're the type of person who really is into the stock and wants to use it a lot, primarily put the stock on your doll, and have a doll that sits in your cabinet and you take out and rearrange occasionally, and maybe now and then change their clothes out, but not a whole lot. Then I would say the Pullip dolls are probably more in that direction. It's more of a doll that you would, in my opinion, look at versus constantly change your clothing. Like every week I would not change the clothing every week, because A, like I said, the stock is really nice, and B, they're a little bit more delicate. I mean, you could if you're not careful, you can mess them up, you can break them. In fact, my romantic Alice actually came broken, if you see that box opening, and I had to get her fixed. So I fixed her myself. It wasn't a big deal. But they're a little bit more delicate than the body on this doll, the Blythe dolls, which are obviously a much hardier body, because they don't have issues with, the joints and stuff that these dolls have. Now, as far as why you would go in the direction of a Blythe doll and not a Pullip is, like I said, the stock is nice, but there are lots of opportunities to change them out. Here's a dress I got. I think this is from Mimi Jojo. Mimi Jojo. I got this dress from Mimi Jojo. She's actually wearing stock boots from Country Summer. And I thought it looked cute with this, and I just have her hair up in a ponytail. Her hair is kind of crazy, so she's definitely not a doll for everybody. If you're not into crazy curly hair that is just whack, and you can't really do a whole lot with it, then don't get this doll. And I actually thought about changing her hair, but I kind of like it. I kind of got used to the craziness, so it just makes her different, right? Now, and with Blythe dolls, what it's nice is, if you want to carry a doll around with you, like sometimes I'll go on a day-long trip, and it's just nice to have a little doll hanging out with me, and I don't have to worry about banging around with her too much, because she's pretty hardy. And then, in fact, if I am really concerned and I still want to bring a doll, I'll bring one of my fakies, because then if she scratched or something, it's not a big deal. It won't really it won't affect the overall value of the doll so much, because the stock dolls are more valuable as collectibles go than a factory doll or a fake doll. So you can, go take pictures with them. You can, like I said, change out their clothing. I like to do that like about every couple of weeks, more if I have time. But it's time consuming. You'd be surprised how much time it takes to change a bunch of little doll clothes. So, but if you like to do that, where you actually basically you're collecting doll clothes and doll accessories and that kind of thing too, then I think the Blythes, in my opinion, lend themselves more to playing with the dolls. I'll call it playing, adult playing with the dolls, because you can handle them more without worrying about affecting their body so much or damaging them so much. Obviously, they can be damaged if you're not careful, like anything else, but they are a hardier overall doll for someone who plans to handle them more so than a doll like this, which tends to be a tad more delicate. I mean, I think visually you can just pick that up very easily by looking at the two of them, right? Let's see. I think that's kind of it as far as those kind of the tangible differences and why you might want to collect one over the other. The other differences that I just generally speaking, I kind of mentioned that, is that there are no fakey pull-up dolls, like as far as I know. Okay, if there are, I haven't seen a lot of them, and I've been out there, I've been online looking at dolls. So if you know of any fakey ones, let me know. Whereas with the Blythe dolls, there is a massive fake doll industry around the Blythe dolls. Huge, huge, huge. You can go to AliExpress, eBay, and a lot of Facebook groups, and they're selling fake dolls, fake Blythe dolls. And what's going on with the Takara, I don't know. The fake dolls actually say Takara on the backs of their heads, so I don't know what the deal is. And I think it's interesting that the Groove, who makes pull-ups, kind of answered an issue about the whole idea of having fake dolls by creating the make it own kits. So they actually have kits that you can purchase to make your own pull-up, your own dowel. Many of the other dolls that Groove produces, you can buy a kit and actually make your own and customize it and that kind of thing. And I kind of wonder if Takara missed the boat on that, because that's kind of cool. It's a way for them to still earn income and not have their brand ripped off. Whereas this is just kind of a free-for-all. These dolls, these Blythe dolls, they're Blythe dolls all over the place that are fake. And they say fake. They don't, I haven't really seen anybody, not that that doesn't happen, but once you kind of are knowledgeable, it's pretty clear in the description that the dolls are not stock dolls when you start shopping around for them. But yeah, I think that's kind of the main issues between these two dolls. It's really up to you. I still plan to get more pull-up dolls. Like I said, I have a kit that I can't wait to dig into. I'm going to start with the wig though, and kind of make sure I get exactly what I want. I'm not in a huge rush to create my pull-up. And there are lots of beautiful pull-up dolls that, of course, I would love to have, but I can't buy them all. So I've been really selective about what I'm purchasing, especially so with the pull-ups, because I want them to kind of have a very cohesive look to my collection. And so that's why I've been really, really careful about what I select. And the pull-up doll that I create will kind of have this sort of similar look as far as fitting into the other two dolls. It's sort of a romantic 19th century kind of vibe. Whereas the Blythe dolls, I'm just having fun with them. I actually purchased one and sold her already, and she's they definitely, I am leaning towards the Blythe side of things as far as my collection goes. There's a bigger variety, and like I said, I don't have to be so careful if I want to bop around with one or go take one outside and take photographs of her and stick her up in a tree. I can do that and not worry that I'm going to break her arm. So I would really like to hear other people's opinions about the camps here, Pullip versus Blythe. Which side of the camp are you on? Are you on both of them like me? Are you sitting on the fence? Okay, let me know in the comments. Have a wonderful Dolly Day. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.